Hi, and welcome to this second edition of my interview with Sundeep Sikka, CEO at Nippon Life Mutual Fund. I'm sure all of you guys found the first part interesting and informative. I'm sure you'll find the second part even more interesting. Just like I enjoyed doing it, I'm sure you will enjoy it as well. So let's straight away kick into the interview.
And which also brings me to your initial point that, after a doctor, this is like something you're doing, which is financial inclusion. See, all
Financial
said and done, you are not focused distributor से कहाँ से मतलब मेरे लिए लाएगा, कहाँ पे मैं ज्यादा कमीशन दे सकता हूँ. Your focus has been कि ये भी चाहिए है ना, ये
ये भी
financial
चाहिए.
inclusion का बहुत
No, and I
important
think,
part है.
and again, that's what I think is very, very critical. And I am a very great believer. Keep it simple and keep the investor in the center, and you have to walk the talk. And I want to give you another interesting point. Um, so in the industry like ours, where NFOs are very big, so I think we took a conscious view in the last 3, 4 years that we will not launch NFOs. Hmm?
Oh,
No, and this has come from the fact this is coming from a team which has done the biggest NFOs in the history of this thing. Our power fund, our natural resources were the biggest. But I think what's more critical is, as for any CEO or any management team, is to learn from your mistakes and not repeat the mistakes again.
right.
The biggest mistake that happens in an NFO is you have large set of investors coming in, and I'm not against NFO. I'm just saying huge NFOs just trying to create a euphoria to get AUM, and you have millions of investors riding the same wave. You are trying to create that hype. These investors come, and eventually what happens is, uh, because you do not know the market timing, because everybody the money has to deploy at the same point of time, everybody's riding the same wave. So we have taken a conscious view that in the last 3 to 4 years, other than the passive funds, which is more to complete the portfolio, in active, we have hardly come out with any NFOs, and it's a
That's
conscious view because and
impressive.
both the things, whether we talked about ETF or whether we talked about not doing NFOs, comes with the philosophy. We have a long-term vision. I
Right.
think as CEO, as CIOs, as CBOs, we are 20 year plus in the company.
Yeah.
We are in no hurry. We'll do what is right. And we do not have to prove to anybody whether you're doing 7 lakh crores or 8 lakh crores or 9 lakh crores.
Correct.
I think the idea here is to add value to the investor. That additional 1 lakh crores does not, increase the size. We remain big. We remain
Very true.
big.
Very
So
true.
the idea is focus on the investor, focus on the value to the investor. And the biggest distractor for this industry is the AUM. When you don't look at the AUM, you end up adding more value to the investor.
Very true. Which brings me to one of the points we discussed, and maybe you can elaborate a bit on that. See, right from 2003, Amitabh Chaturvedi's time, Rajgopal, etc., who one knew, I know that you spent a lot of time on, the marketing, getting investors in, etc., etc. So from that time, conversion from a domestic to an MNC, right? And then maintaining the stability. I know for a fact, Amit Tripathi I know well, and your other CS. Pranay Sinha, by the way, worked for me in BNP many years ago. So they're all well known to me, and you managed to, retain talent. They've thrived. What is the secret of that? How that moves from domestic to MNC? Because I worked with an MNC banks all my life, so I know how the atmosphere is. But can you elaborate a bit how that change was, and what is the secret of success having such a stable team? The key members.
So there are two questions in this, and I'll try to address them separately. One is the transition from a domestic to a foreign AMC. Other one is the stability of the team.
Yeah.
And both of them are linked to the success. So I'll try to answer them, differently. So let me start the first one with the team, and which I feel is a very, very critical thing. It is rare that you find, I think if I'm not mistaken, I may not have the exact data, but you can check it up. There is no AMC in India where the CEO and both the CIOs and the CBO, everyone
CBOs,
is 20 year plus in the company.
I'm sure.
Now, again, like I don't have data, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
for you to validate this. Now, there is a very interesting, I think we tell the investors talk of long term. Think long term. We ye karo, 10 saal, 20 saal ke liye karoge. You talked about the fund that you invested is a 20-year maturity.
Yeah,
Hmm?
yeah, yeah.
What happens is basically, I think the stability of the team gives a lot of confidence to the market and the investors. So that's point number one. To your question, how were we able to retain? And I clearly, when I can say, it is for sure. I think it is not about money. It's not about anything. What people work for a particular similar people having similar DNA work for a similar purpose. And I think it's about all these things coming together that makes us as a winning team. I mean, because I'm very clear, any one of our colleagues, has the potential to get a higher grade, higher salary outside. But if reality is salary is the only thing, I mean, then you don't, then work environment does not matter. I think you talked about the MNC thing, and I
Yeah,
think that is what you were talking about.
right.
But it's a work environment. When we for working for 20 years, it becomes like a part of the family, and it's a different type of a work environment. I think it's very difficult for me to explain it. But one
But
thing clearly, the proof is, or the pudding is in eating it. The fact that a team is there for 20 years, 20-year plus, it's a rare thing. And it is not only these four are the visible names that I talked about. There are zonal heads, there are fund managers, the HR head.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah,
so many colleagues, there are so many people who've joined from college and still here. Day before yesterday, I was
yeah.
in Delhi, met the team members. I mean, a colleague of ours, she joined from college. She's for 18 years in the company. I mean,
Wow.
which is again something. It's about the culture and the DNA.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And for us, I think if I were to look at the stakeholders, unit holders and employees, these are
Yeah,
the two stakeholders which define the success of the company. So
true.
that's point number one.
Yeah,
The second point that you talked about, the transition to Nippon Life, I think it's again the way you see it is company is what? Company is ultimately about people. Again, from Nippon Life came to India in 2011, became a majority shareholder in 2012.
right.
And one thing I think that we have worked in, I think we have the largest foreign AMC in India, the most successful Japanese company, one of the third most valuable Japanese company in India after Suzuki and Hitachi, in the
Oh,
market. Yeah,
wow. I didn't
yeah,
know that. That's
from a
impressive.
market cap point of view. So I think what is more critical here is basically how do you get the blend of both, best of both the worlds. I think we are a rare company. I think we can say we've been able to get the best of the combination of Indian passion and Japanese perfection. And
Wow.
that is what is
That's
making
well
us
put.
successful. That's how. So
Yeah,
today it's a very interesting. A lot of global AMCs which came to India, they have their management teams, trying to from outside India,
yeah,
or policies which are coming from outside of India and dictating. So without naming an AMC, I remember a foreign
yeah,
AMC which left India, where the investment team was reporting to London, the business team was reporting to Hong Kong, and the other
oops,
functions were reporting to Boston. Uh,
oops.
I mean, it is a
Crazy.
classic khichdi. It is a classic
Yeah,
khichdi.
you're right.
So I think from our perspective, one thing is very clear. I think from Nippon Life point of view, we have the best of risk management from Nippon Life. But the day-to-day execution, because I think India is a multiple of micro markets.
Yeah,
I mean, different investors in every 100 kilometers of what investors think, how they talk, where they want to invest, everything changes, and that is our local execution. So from our point of view, I think there would be, I mean, just as a again may not have the formal data, but of all the Japanese companies in India, there are very few Japanese companies where the CEO, CFO, and the head of technical, in this case CIO,
yeah.
are Indian. I think we are one of
Oh,
them. Mm.
oh, yeah, yeah.
So it's a perfect company where I think you have the best of the Japanese risk management, you have the best of Japanese processes, and you have the local execution.
But I must give credit to you personally for this because I have worked in, as I was telling you, multinational banks. The French bank was the last one. And this khichdi, believe me, is universal. So the trading reports to somewhere, sales reports somewhere else. The CEO is not empowered enough. So I think there is credit to you, particularly to make it all come together. So my question in that respect, see, as a CEO, you have multiple responsibilities, right? AUM, investors, etc. is one part. The second part is trading, investment performance, etc. Right. Third is people management. So how do you balance it? What is your secret there, and what is your key responsibility according to
So, well, thanks for giving me the credit, but I will actually pass on the credit to, see, I think what happens, CEO is only a spokesperson and ultimately is a team that works on it. So everybody is aligned, from that point of view. And number two, also Nippon Life as a shareholder. I think I'll give special credit, to Nippon Life. I think it's been 15 years we've been working together.
you? Right.
I think the mutual trust, because ultimately it's all about trust. I mean, today, I mean, there's a company which is a valuation of the company is 50 plus 50,000 crores. You have somebody sitting in Japan trusting the management team to run it.
Yeah.
So I think that is one. B also, I think it's very critical, and it is not only for asset management company, but for any company. The vision and the patience of the shareholder plays a very important role in the success of the company and also
Right.
the success of the CEO. So
Correct.
today, I think again, let me highlight the fact, that I think from a Nippon Life point of view, as a Japanese largest insurance company in Japan, one of the largest in the world, I think the thought process is very clear. We need to continue adding value to the unit holder. I think we are in no hurry. There is nothing that I like called that we need to. We have never worked with this objective that we want to go up in ranking by compromising, by getting more AUM, which may compromise returns. We do not want to increase AUM by compromising profitability because we are a listed company. We also have, along with Nippon Life, 200 lakh, 200,000 other shareholders. So I think clearly the vision of and the patience of the shareholder and this thing, and also give credit on record, I'll say, Nippon Life's vision of operating and having the trust in the management team has been one of the biggest reasons of the success of this company.
So
To your
that's well put.
so then
Please.
to your question on managing three, um, that if you put everything in three different buckets, these are three activities. If you put there's only one thing, that is the interest of the unit holder, and everything gets aligned to that. So these are not three different buckets. And the fact that I told you, from investment and business, the two things that you talked about, we don't do NFOs. That tells you, which means basically we don't want to do run after AUM. We do not. We want to add value to existing unit holders. I mean, the entire thought process is add value to the unit holder. If the vision of the management team and the leadership team is aligned, then there is no problem. These are not three different buckets. Coming to people, because the people come with they've stayed for 20 years plus, I think they're coming with a common DNA. The objective is very clear. I think for us, I think none of us is running basically, I think today, whether the investment team, the business team, or the HR, I think
Yeah,
for all of them, I think we are very clear. What is good for the investor is good for the shareholder, is good for the company, is good for the ecosystem, and that's the way we approach it. So for me, I've never had that conflict of thinking
yeah,
these are three different buckets. It's a way, and the conflict
correct.
goes away if there's only one vision that everybody
Yeah,
and everyone is aligned to that. So
yeah.
if you can do is, I would say I'm blessed to have a team where everyone is aligned to the same vision, and that is basically keeping the interest of the unit holder in mind, which is in case our investor.
And Sandeep, what I noticed in your answer is you genuinely believe in it. See, your answer did not come as a, जैसे leadership वाले लोग बोलते हैं ना, ऐसे it didn't come. So I appreciate that. It's come out very clearly as something, and I'm sure all your team believes in it as well. So
No, उसके बिना
that's
होगा
good.
नहीं ना। See, देखो,
Yeah,
20 you don't stay together for 20 years. If your thought process
correct.
does not match, I mean, it cannot happen.
Yeah, yeah. सही
So
बात.
and also I'll touch a little, which is related to the earlier question. That's a very interesting thing, how things keep evolving. There would be a time, I think, when we would look after investment business, our approach could be very different. I
Right.
think over the last few years, I think from a Japanese risk management point of view, getting PDCA from Japan, and also having the risk framework and having complete freedom within the risk framework, but the framework is there.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
those things, so everybody is aligned, because I
yeah,
think today all of us understand the fact that we are managing public money, and when you're managing public money, the thought process is, has to be not to do any mistakes.
yeah,
So I think it's a very highly, and I'm not to, you've been a part of the industry, you would not, most of the advertisements you would have seen in the industry will always talk about return.
yeah, yeah,
I've done
yeah,
13% CAGR, 15%
yeah,
CAGR and all. You would have never seen an advertisement in the industry which talks about risk management is more important. You check up our campaign, which says what is more important. Risk management is the most important, is more important than people also, because that lays the framework. In the Indian mutual fund industry, there has never been an advertisement like that.
I can
But that
imagine.
also tells you. So for us, risk management, people, and the
Yeah,
interest
yeah,
of the unit holder is at the center.
yeah. So, in conclusion, I'm going to ask you two questions, possibly related, because, now as AMFI chairman in your second term, uh, what are the new moves, etc. So, what do you see going forward? Venkat sir is a respected person from the industry. All of us know him well, and he is CEO. So, you have got good support. I know that. So, one part is that as to how what do you see in AMFI, a role, and what you plan to do. The second one may or may not be related, but it is because it is futuristic. Is your fund and your own perception of what is going to happen to the digital business as far as mutual funds are concerned? But how do you see it evolving? How important it is? And what are you guys as the fund and as AMFI doing about it?
So Mohit, I think let me, I think I'll take the Amphi question first, I think so I can been an honor and a privilege to be part of the industry and serving. This is my second term as an Amphi chair. So I think so when we took over in 2013 as an Amphi chair, at that time, or 15 when I finished my term. the size of the industry was 13, 14 lakhs. The monthly SIP was at that time 2000 crores, and we were grappling with a lot of things. The regulatory changes had happened, and all those regulatory changes, which have at that point of time looked to be a challenge to some of the industry players, are actually helping the industry grow at this point of time.
Right.
Loads went away, B30 came, a
Yeah.
lot of those things had come, into. So that was a very different part of the as an AMFI chair. I think, and I'd like to give credit to all industry players, all the AMFI board members, and all the past chairmen, of AMFI. I think who's have contributed, and the leadership has taken the industry to a point. Today, we are at a very interesting point. I think we are at a stage where industry is about 80 lakh crores, 30,000 crores is coming in SIPs every month, and we are at a point where still 5.6 crore investors. Um, Clearly, I think if you were to see going forward, uh, at this point of time, unlike the last time and last term, the key will be to keep doing, to continue what is happening, because I think the momentum is on our side. We should not end up doing any mistake, I think our objective should be to keep increasing the penetration. And I have a very simple philosophy. At this point of time, the monthly SIP book is roughly about 30,000 crores, 29 something, but I'm rounding off for a discussion purpose, In India, we have 140 crore people. So technically speaking, what we are investing is every Indian is investing about 200 rupees per month, 220 rupees
Right.
per month in SIP.
Yeah.
Now, this is happening in a scenario where only 3%, 4% of the population is investing.
Yeah.
Now, let's look at this. This 4% population will go to 10% population. So this 30,000 becomes 75,000 crores,
Yeah.
Now, let's do the other way around. Even if from tomorrow onwards, no new investor comes into the mutual fund industry,
Yeah.
if we say Indian economy, the GDP will double and triple in
Yeah.
next 3 years, 5 years, if it doubles, the SIP goes to 60,000 crores, because the per capita income goes up.
Yeah.
So we are at a very interesting sweet spot. I think what we need to do is just ensure, I think we continue adding value to the investor. I think we have crossed that stage where I think we have to go and educate people that we are good. Please look at us. I
Mutual
mean,
fund sahi hai.
the mutual fund sahi hai. I mean, that has changed
Yeah.
played a very big role. So that is point number one. And clearly, having said that, the whatever success we have achieved, we need to also be conscious of the fact that the consumer is changing, the habits are changing. We need to continuously keep realigning to the new expectation, and which leads me to the second question, from a digital point of view. Clearly, digital, there are new investors which are coming through digital. There are new investors, I mean, everything is becoming digitalized. But I also have a very firm view for the next 10 to 15 years in India. Both physical and digital will continue to coexist and will thrive. It is not that one will grow at the cost of the other. And there's a reason why I say this. I mean, I started the interview by giving this anecdote about my father and my daughter.
Yeah.
The reality is, my father has a lot of pool, whatever a government servant can have,
Yeah.
has the money to invest, but he's not technology savvy. My daughter
Correct.
is technology savvy, but does not have money because she's just started a career. So what will happen is, I think in India, so even if you look at the average age of India, all the 50 plus people, 45, 50 plus people, they have the money. They are
Correct.
going to approach differently,
Yeah.
and you will have the youngsters who will earn money in 10, 15 years, and
Yeah.
their pool will come. So
Right.
both will coexist. But having said that, I would like to also touch upon the point. When we look at digital, we many times give a lot of importance. We only think it's about digital distribution.
Hmm.
Digitalization is going to change the mutual fund industry. It is not only distribution, whether it's to be KYC, onboarding, a lot of other things are going to help industry, because ultimately smooth onboarding and everything that makes all the
Of course.
difference.
Yeah.
We have seen that change post-COVID happen in the capital markets in a demat. We saw now today the demat accounts are about 20 crore plus, which were less than 3, 4 crores, before COVID, or 5 crores before COVID.
Yeah.
So digital is going to help us in many ways. It is not only distribution. But I'm very clear and convinced on one fact. There are going to be 5% of Indians who can take a decision on their own. For them, digital will be used also for execution. But digital replacing distribution, it may not happen in near future, because you still need advice. You
Yeah.
still need advice. The mutual fund is still not a product you get up in the morning and you go, you have to go and paste. You have to
Yeah.
do that with brush. So that's
Correct.
why you have to buy a Colgate.
Hmm.
Mutual fund does not come in a natural pull. You still
Yeah.
need somebody to make you aware that mutual fund can help you. That nudge has to be there. Somebody has to nudge you. So I think digital is going to play a very, very important role going forward. I want to, before we end, want to also touch, since the whole discussion was on the asset management, and somehow in India, asset management is, and mutual fund are considered to be, if it's asset management, it's mutual fund. I think you will see also Indian asset management industry evolve. It will not be limited only to mutual funds. Whether I think what you're seeing the evolution of AIFs, SIFs, and also sophisticated investors getting into venture and other things. Now, I think it's also very important. The reason why is when you say this, we the interview focused on mutual fund,
Yeah,
but the
true.
investor is evolving. I think as an asset management industry, we'll have to take care that I think the we are in line with what the investor wants. So
Yeah,
we are getting ready to offer other products also beyond mutual fund, because
yeah,
if we don't do that, what will happen is exactly what happened to the ETF. Investors will want it. If we
yeah,
don't offer it, they'll find their way how to invest
yeah,
in it.
true,
So I just
true,
want
right.
to leave this on this thought. I think I mean, for us, especially at Nippon, we are trying to work, to move, not to be seen and not to be, positioned only as a mutual fund company. We have a very high focus on AIF, venture, and various other initiatives so that we become a true blue asset management company.
No, absolutely. Well put, very clear. Uh, in the interests of time, and as you said, both you're a busy guy, and I don't want to take too much time. Also, in the interest of public attention span, is there anything else you want to talk about? You'd like to cover?
No, I think broadly, I think if we've covered everything, but I think all I'll say, and my only message, I think, I mean, to all stakeholders of the mutual fund industry will be, our future is great. I think it's a very noble this thing profession. I think it's a profession that I think it's you help investors grow wealthy, and many times you'll always have a lot of these things challenges which come. Challenges could be market challenges or could be many times certain things from a regulator point of view. But I think our biggest supporter for the mutual fund industry has been the regulator, which has paved the way for the growth of the industry, because all the regulatory changes which have happened since to the early 2000, at some point of time, some people may have thought they are not good, for the industry, and they give you short-term pain. But it's line with everything is aligned with what I mentioned earlier. What is good for the investor is good for all stakeholder, and regulator has been regularly doing many things to help make it easy and make it better for the unit holder.
No, lovely. So it was great talking to you, Sandeep. Very enlightening for me. I'm sure must be much more enlightening for the audience as well. I'm from the industry. A lot of the stuff I have heard before, but I'm sure it was great for the audience. We try to give it a slightly different angle from usual interviews, so people know much more about the man, the thinking, the business behind the person, so to speak, or what we see on other media platforms. So thank you very much for that. Thank you everybody for watching, and till next time, all the best.